Hello everyone, I'm Sulini. I'll be doing podcast on the Vedanta Kesari. It's a cultural and spiritual monthly of the Ramakrishna order. This is the May edition of 2021. So this monthly features Atmarpanastuti, Yugavani, editorials, reminiscence of Saragachi, Vivekananda Way, Pariprasna, book reviews, and the order on the march. So we'll look into the contents as we go by. So the first page starts with Shloka from Bhajagovindam, written by Shankaracharya. I will be reading the English part of it. Who is your wife? Who is your son? Exceedingly strange in this samsara. Of whom are you? From where have you come, O brother? Ponder over these truths here. I'm starting with the Atmarpanastuti. The English recitations of the Sanskrit slokas would be read out loud. I do not consider anything in the three worlds to be worthy of being desired. O Bhagavan, let me have happiness or sorrow as destined. Let my mind always rest on your 2 feet, which excels the splendor of the insides of a lotus in full bloom. This is Sloka 47. I'm going to read Sloka 48. After having been repeatedly engaged in composing various works of a low order, with the sole object of earning my livelihood, I am now offering at your lotus feet only the remnants of praise, and thus I have become guilty, O Father. This is the end of Sloka 48. I am reading Sloka 49. O Sadashiva, forgive all my transgressions. Uplift this one submerged in the ocean of suffering. I, helplessly and with no other refuge, surrender at your lotus feet alone with all my heart, O Lord. This is Sloka 49. I'll be going to Sloka 50. O Bhagavan, though this Atmarpanastuti has been composed by me, without my mind totally being concentrated on you, you protect me, O abode of compassion, considering that this helpless, miserable one is surrendering to you, at least by words. This is the end of Atmarpanastuti. It has been written by Sri Ayyappa Dikshitendra and has been translated by Sri S.N. Shastri. So there is another Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The title of this article is Samadhi. I'll be reading about this article now. And the page donor for this article is Sri R. Chintaya from Chennai. When I was 10 or 11 years old and lived at Kamarpukur, I first experienced Samadhi. As I was passing through a paddy field, I saw something and was overwhelmed. There are certain characteristics of God vision. One sees light, feels joy, and experiences the upsurge of a great current in one's chest, like the bursting of a rocket. I used to go into Samadhi uttering the word Ma. While repeating the word, I would draw the Mother of Universe to me, as I were like the fishermen casting their net and after a while drawing it in. When they draw in the net, they find big fish inside it. Devotee. Sir, how do you feel in Samadhi? Sri Ramakrishna says, I feel like a fish released from a pot into the water of the Ganges or Ganga. Devotee, don't you feel at that time even a trace of ego? Sri Ramakrishna says, yes, generally a little of it remains. However, hard you may rub a grain of gold against a grindstone, still a bit of it always remains. Or again, take the big case of a big fire. The ego is like one of its sparks. In Samadhi, I lose outer consciousness completely. But God generally keeps a little trace of ego in me for the enjoyment of divine communion. Enjoyment is possible only when I and you remain. Again, sometimes God effaces even the traces of I. Then one experiences Jada, Samadhi or Nirvikalpa Samadhi. That experience cannot be described. A salt doll went to measure the depth of an ocean, but before it had gone far into the water, it melted away. It became entirely one with the water of the ocean. Then, who was to come back and tell the ocean's depth? Generally, the body does not remain alive after the attainment of Samadhi. The only exceptions are such sages as Narada, who keep their bodies alive in order to bring spiritual light to others. It is also true of divine incarnations like Chaitanya. After the well is dug, one generally throws away the spade and the basket, but some keep them in order to help their neighbors. The great souls who retain their bodies after Samadhi feel compassion for the sufferings of others. In Samadhi, one attains the knowledge of Brahman. One realizes Brahman. In that state, reasoning stops altogether and man becomes mute. He has no power to describe the nature of Brahman. The man coming down from Samadhi perceives that it is Brahman that has become the ego, the universe, and all living beings. This is known as Vijnana. So that's it for today's episode. I will be uploading more episodes soon. Until then, bye. Jai Shri Ramakrishna.